10 best written video games. You will never guess what the number 1 video game is. Like and subscribe for weekly videos. In the comments below, list one topic you think should be in a top 10 video and comment if you subscribe to this channel. No matter the form of media, good writing can be admired like good cooking. A suspenseful intro hook thrown into simmer with an intriguing storyline, seasoned biological plot, as well as a satisfying ending is as much akin to a meal as I can think of. I believe it was Ray Bradbury who said something along the lines of every story has but one proper ending, and I found this quote to be more and more relevant throughout writing this list. In this list we will be examining some of the best written games whose aspects in terms of writing are very well rounded. Good endings require an amazing setup, like propping up dominoes only to watch them fall elegantly and haphazardly into place. So please enjoy this list, gamer or not, because everyone enjoys when dominoes drop, i.e. the climax. 10 Mass Effect 2 2010. While Mass Effect may just be the latest blockbuster production to hit consoles, there is a specific reason it is included in this list. With many gamers carrying over their previous save from the first Mass Effect, they let their previous choices impact the sequel in ways not seen before. From the start, this is an achievement in writing, specifically in games, rather than continuing a story over starting a new one. You are left to live with the aftermath of the decisions that are made in the first game, in the second. Characters that died don't return for this round. The narrative aspect of Mass Effect 2 was also highly praised, as it covered every nook and niche that players could find themselves in. Contact with familiar faces from the first game play out like fortuitous reunions between old acquaintances, and with depth like that it walked away with several Game of the Year awards, along with various writing awards and Best RPG awards. With Mass Effect 2, writing is becoming ever more prominent in modern gaming. 9 Braid 2008. A stage and puzzle computer game created by free programming engineer Jonathan Blow, Braid was delivered to the Xbox Live Arcade in 2008, welcomed with collectively certain surveys and turned into the subsequent top-of-the-line Xbox Live Arcade title in 2008, selling 55,000 titles. While pundits marked its one essential shortage as its short length, this title demonstrated that games could accompany stories at streak fiction length. Twist includes a few time-sensitive universes, every one of which include their own personal specialist to explain the riddles. In a game about time, Tim is a man looking for a princess who has been grabbed by an as far as anyone knows underhanded beast. The main relationship we realize he has with the princess is that he wishes to accommodate something. As you proceed through every world, you study the focal plot, generally through content, and the completion is left deliberately questionable. Some have compared the game to Memento and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with the manner in which it joins its plot and story. Others have said the princess is practically equivalent to the nuclear bomb. On the off chance that you actually play Braid, convey this basic ideology, you should think back to Go Advances. 8 BioShock 2007. Set in a substitute history during 1960, the game happens in the submerged city of Rapture, the inward activities of which were motivated by Ayn Rand and objectivist reasoning and manner of speaking. This time around, the game is more centered around setting than everything else. The once requested human advancement in Rapture presently has become a tragic culture that you, the player, Jack, has crash-arrived close, in the center of the Atlantic Ocean. As he advances toward the seabed and into Rapture, you start to reveal the notions that prompted the defeat of Rapture. The submerged domain is loaded up with a cast of characters that fit the presumptions one would connect with a submerged city, and a half-envisioned bad dream. Huge daddies looking like good old plunging suits, and splicers looking for Adam from the Little Sisters, regularly go with the halls of Rapture, and as the plot thickens you perceive how this general public undermines under its guidelines and ethics. You understand what's been disregarded is that questions are really verifiable orders. 7. Portal 2007. With the advent of the Writers Guild of America accepting and commending outstanding writing in 2007-2008, it came as a surprise to those not in the know that BioShock or Portal were not among those nominated, and even some that were nominated, such as Deadhead Fred, didn't seem to offer much credibility that the WGA was accepting of video games as a medium for writing. With the small and dedicated team at Valve that worked on Portal, however, it may have come as no surprise, for you needed to be a member of the WGA to be nominated. Portal was lauded for its story, ensuing meme, gameplay, characterization, and its short format, as it was crowded onto a disc within the orange box. Its story is centered around Chell and GLaDOS, a simple protagonist versus technology in strictest terms of literary conflict theory. But this conflict is not immediately apparent, only seeming blatant after never receiving your cake. The quote that spread like wildfire after Portal's release, "The cake is a lie," began to become a meme, meaning you were reaching an empty, unattainable goal. The characterization in Portal is that of sheer brilliance, featuring only 2 characters, a test subject and a somewhat sentient, passive-aggressive AI. GLaDOS is our antagonist here, promising you cake, insulting you, and criticizing your every move while Chell increasingly struggles to make it through the next test chamber. As the credits roll and GLaDOS can be overheard in musical overtones, a thought occurs: you're still alive. 6. The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion 2006. In a game where you can easily get lost between the subplots and side stories, The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion is an architectural writing masterpiece. While you may get sidetracked for several days on a side quest, the main storyline is still at play, laying the groundwork and framework for all your voyages into the environment. Non-playable characters may lie to you, or react to you differently, depending on your race and gender, a subtle, but powerful undertone. Starting off as a lowly prisoner who gets a chance shot at escaping his cell, you begin to tackle the task of closing the gates to Oblivion, no easy feat. Although all of this can be ignored and you, the player, can spend your time exploring the countryside, doing the above-mentioned side quests, and building your character up, the story is quite driven by the increasing number of Oblivion gates and their dominant presence on the hillsides. Each subplot eventually leads back and keeps you coming back to the main storyline. Though, even when the story is over, the game isn't finished. There were some jarring dialogue flaws as well as unbalanced leveling by enemies. However, Oblivion won several awards, including Game of the Year and Best RPG from multiple publications. 5. Shadow of the Colossus 2005. At the front line of the protection of games as a work of art, incited to some extent by Roger Ebert, is Shadow of the Colossus. The game was made by Team Igo, the designers behind In All Honesty Igo. Shadow of the Colossus is an otherworldly replacement to the previously mentioned game, and will be trailed by one more comparative profound replacement in 2012, by the name of The Last Guardian. To make things all the more intriguing, the game just has 16 adversaries altogether. You start off your travel as Wanda, with your pony Agro, engaging the god Dormin to resuscitate Mono, who you later learn was relinquished because of a reviled predetermination. In this land, forlorn and taboo, you know little foundation between the characters and their connections to one another. You are entrusted to decimate the 16 mammoths by Dormin. After you fell the main monster, however, unmistakably there is something more vile influencing everything, as you are punctured by dark energy and stir at the altar. The game works superbly of making a connection among you and your pony using moderate contacts. The pony will direct itself away from bluffs and bounce when required, and will even go off and touch on its own when you climb off. As the game and story propels, you discover that Wanda is being followed, and you start to observe probably the best utilization of wannabe ever. After each mammoth murdered, Wanda turns out to be more messy, battered and cumbersome. This outcomes in your scrutinizing of Wanda's thought processes, and just which side you should pull for. 4. Fahrenheit, Indigo Prophecy, 2005. A cult classic, Fahrenheit, or better known in North America as Indigo Prophecy, was a precursor to the much more well-known Heavy Rain, and its cinematic gameplay. But where the game really stands out is its deep, captivating, and oftentimes disturbing story. The tale, which opens prolifically and profoundly with a murder, and is ranked as number 10 on Game Informer's top 10 video game openings, centers around Lucas Kane and the supernatural forces that he must fight to comprehend why New York City is being targeted by a series of mysterious murders that follow the same pattern, ordinary people becoming possessed and killing absolute strangers in public. Receiving the Best Story and Best Adventure Game award from GameSpot, Fahrenheit is not a game to be passed over in the used section of your local game shop. 3 Silent Hill 2 2001. Receiving a letter from his wife asking him to come to their special place, James Sunderland becomes drawn to Silent Hill. It is a quiet town they had frequented in the past, before the sickness took her from this life. She's been dead for 3 years now. Upon entering Silent Hill, James encounters gruesome monsters and exaggerated versions of humanity, including a girl oblivious to what is happening around her, a man who has killed someone, and a woman who's a spitting image of his wife, although she is dolled up and does not possess his wife's subdued behavior. Finding more and more clues that lead to the revelation of the murder of your wife, Silent Hill 2 addresses your problems with analogies and metaphors. Silent Hill isn't a town, it is your emotional being, and every door and corridor could contain a clue to James's past, and the further you delve in, the more you must fight the mental blocks that portray him in innocent and culpable lights. 2 Deus Ex 2000. With an excess of more than 40 Game of the Year grants, and furthermore including the honor of Best Story, Deus Ex comes stacked with extraordinary desires. In this cyberpunk-themed story of a world constrained by trick and near the precarious edge of breakdown, a bionic government operator, J.C. Denton, is given a progression of dangerous clandestine tasks by his manager, Anatco. A great deal of Foundation data is introduced in the game that is absolutely discretionary: books, papers, messages, passwords, and different lines of text that are relevant to the story and frequently contain suggestions to sci-fi references, for example, Tron and Blue Harvest. Our Natco collaborators respond to your activities towards your foes, evaluating you or treating you with utter disdain, and adversaries can be harassed for data. Spearheading the FPS RPG recipe, Deus Ex oftentimes discovers its way close to the highest point of the best rounds ever records. 1 Half-Life 1998. For those of you following the list order, it is in reverse chronological order, and with that, we come to one of the greats of modern game storytelling, Half-Life. Considered and cited as being revolutionary in terms of the immersive gaming experience, interactive environment and storytelling, Half-Life was released to overwhelmingly positive reviews and, like Deus Ex, frequents greatest games of all time lists. The game has received over 50 Game of the Year awards as a tour de force first-person shooter, as well as holding a place in the Guinness Book of World Records as best-selling FPS of all time. Half-Life contained artfully scripted in-game sequences and a story that the player became captivated by. Offering a proposition or a battle Gordon Freeman has no chance of winning, an anti-climax after what you've survived, it is time to choose.